We're back with Robert Berry, author of Cab Stories, which was his 20 years as a cab driver in Boston, Massachusetts. A fish out of water, essentially. When you read that book, you understand that, you know, he was basically the witness of madness, you know, in the urban environment, which is...
There's a lot of good there. Please read the introduction if you get the book. The first thing it says, the introduction acknowledgement. This is to acknowledge that there are a lot of good people out there.
Yes.
You must look for the good, and you will find a lot of superhuman beings. I hope there are enough of us.
Yeah.
But you'll find them out there, even in the city.
Well, yeah. I mean, I met you where I work, which is at in the heart of the concrete jungle, right down there. Interestingly, I mean, it looks like we're. Look at this. Look where it looks like we're. It looks like we're in Ohio or something, you know, but we're in Massachusetts. We're right up downwind from the city of Boston, the giant metropolis. And you know, this is a diamond in a rough right here. This man, and this is what you're talking about is the mentality that I have when I'm down there doing what I do. Is that every moment to moment, it's all about transcendence. I don't look at people as if they're dollar signs and customers and all this stuff that the corporation wants me to look at things as. I go beyond that and see the only way I can actually do what I do is to regard my fellow human beings as all my brothers and sisters, as familiars, not as, you know, foreigners, not as customers, as walking dollar signs. And that's and you know, not to say that money, you can't do good with money, but you know, the love of money is the root of all evil, as you know, that crazy master walking around with sandals who died for telling the truth was saying. You know, he didn't say that money is the root of all evil. He said it's the love of money.
I would go along with moving it. I guess money is power. We're doing this. Is what we're trying to do with the sword. Is what I'm trying to do. And I'm not there again. I'm not sure I want to teach even a lot of what I know. Is that the power? Because if you don't have the power, you can't fight. Money and guns here, I don't want to get too political, but that was the source of the American Revolution, money and guns. Mm-hmm. And if they take the money and the guns, then we don't have the power to keep the equilibrium. Mm-hmm. So, because money, yes, love, but money, remember what Franklin said? Franklin said the use of money is the only reason for having it. Mm-hmm. So if I'm after this money, then it's because I want to use it. Well, how do I use it? Well, a lot of it will be fighting to keep the system open, if you will, the freedom, so that the lower classes like myself can come up to a good, strong middle class and get the money so that you can kind of oust the complacent upper class. And you would, of course, start schools and places for abused children, I would like to do. But there again, it's not so much the love of the money that I think is the evil. It's just the love of the way people want to apply it, the power that comes from it. Mm-hmm. And there again, you're back to what do you do with this power? This is why the monks, this is why the swords people, all he would say was, it's calling you. And I would ask him about it, and he would say, well, swing your sword 100 times a day. I say, well, what to do it? No kata, no nothing. He said, it's just calling you. They don't want to teach it because there's so doggone much power in it.
Right.
What we're doing now is, I can feel it, it's like an addiction, if you will. People want to be critical. This is an addiction. And I must come out here in the night and do these katas, stumble through them. As you can see, I'm a beginner with the sword. I'm a black belt in karate with the sword, because it gives me a power. In the simplest explanation, it is a power. And if you contemplate, which they taught me to do, you contemplate the hilt of the sword, and Bushido will come into you. Well, they never explained what Bushido was, or Bushi, or how to do, but there it is. Mm-hmm. It's the power, it's the Entellexia, and how you use it determines what kind of man you are.
Mm-hmm. So Back to this, Jesus Christ character, because people, the religionists, the believers, they have dominated the discussion about that character and about mythology and about symbolism in general. See, I don't look at Jesus Christ as historical for a second because I've studied it at length. And so he's called the Lord, right? And you have the Lord's Prayer. Remember the Lord's Prayer? Thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Well, who are they talking about? Who's the son? Who's this son, right? And the sword. Because when you look at the word yang, okay? Yang in Chinese system, yin is the moon, and yang.
Very important concept, male and female.
Yeah.
I just, I get most of my, if I can insert that, most of the power, even now, comes from women, and I treat them with such, maybe too much respect. It's part of my training, and part, of course, because these women early in my life were so powerful and so intelligent, almost godlike, that I treat them almost like God. But that's some unity of yin and yang. And the Western, you're right, Western religions and cultures don't have that.
Mm-hmm. Anytime you hear a Western religionist, whether it be a Jew, a Christian, or a Muslim, they always use the male personal pronoun for God. They always say he and him, and if you question them on that or call them on that, they react as if it's not of consequence.
Want a bit of humor? What I usually say is, God plays different ways of saying this. I think God is watching, and she's playing a rough game with us.
Yep. Right, because
she's playing the rough.
Oh yeah, because
I don't
Mother
know about
Nature.
God. I don't know if there is one. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Except I'm getting power so that I can live a certain morality.
Right.
That I have deduced a lot of it for myself from examining there again something like the streets or nature. Everything it is there is an ought, and this has taught me what I think is right and wrong, and this is what I use the power for. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where it is, but it's here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to teach it, but it's here, right? If you want to ask for it and look for it, you will get this power.
Mm-hmm. Horsepower.
The horses, that's a whole book in itself. I'm writing a horse book, by the way, by demand. These ladies, I'm sorry about that noisy tractor. See how that mechanization, that engine is almost a sacrilege here with the horses. But I'm writing a horse book because of demand. The ladies here bought my cab book and they immediately asked for a horse book. The horses are very spiritual, and as the American Indian has taught me and a lot of others, is that not just that, the Greeks had, I guess, none of this is really new, I guess. The spirit comes in on a horse, and I believe that somehow.
Yeah, and all of the sun gods, Ra, Horus, Saturn, Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus, what do they all ride on? What are they all carried by? A chariot of horses.
I might add that I have some sort of special talent with horses that I don't understand. I'm writing the book and I don't understand a lot of it. I have some of the stuff in the book about what the little mental rituals and things that I go through that I hadn't known that I do. But I establish a communication which, if I'm on the streets with a horse, which is very dangerous, and some very, very difficult training, I am in 100% contact with that horsepower. I know that sounds impossible, but I believe that once I'm out there, once I hitch, and I get up on the carriage, that I'm in 100% contact with this horse, and he or she with me. And by the way, that's a beautiful phenomenon for those people who think horses don't belong on the street and who are destroying the farm country and the wilderness. Get with a horse, and be humble. Ask the horse to teach you something. See, I'm looking at that horse down there. If I go down there, that's a beautiful mare, by the way. I ask the horse what it's going to teach me. I never really became a good trainer until I asked a couple different things. But I asked the horse to teach me. What are you going to teach me today? And the horse gets back to me and says, well, it's about time you stupid human beings paid attention to us.
Yes.
Now, this may be fantasy, but there again, something in it works.
Well, why not? I mean, why? See, it's really it's an assumption that we have that we have
Well,
superior
no.
mind. I mean, we have a different kind of mind.
Well,
Is how I
no,
look at it.
there is actually, excuse me, there's actually now, apparently, I'm trying to get it, there is research that proves that we may be genetically connected, some of us more than others. I mean, it's what, 8,000 years together.
Yep.
I believe I'm somehow psychogenetically connected to these animals, and I think that I communicate. I know that they read my mind. I know that they read my mind, and I read theirs.
And this goes into the whole psychic phenomenon in general with telepathy, clairvoyance,
genetics.
You know, and then and the connection with genetics. My take is that we all in our bodies, that we're all inherited from our ancestry abilities that the modern world doesn't acknowledge, doesn't you know, that it frowns upon or debunks, tries to debunk,
I think
but
we
really
lost,
can't.
I think you're right. I think we lost a lot. I didn't, obviously,
Yeah.
for some reason.
I've recovered things. I mean, I'm in the process of recovering things that were buried through upbringing, through education. You know, as Bertrand Russell said, we're not born stupid, we're born ignorant. It's education that makes us stupid. I got made stupid, and after I was made stupid, I've gradually, by degrees, regained my intelligence, my innate intelligence that I was born with. You know, like with number, for instance, I'm studying number and so-called numerology, which is just the philosophy of mathematics, is that numbers are not foreign to us. We're actually born understanding number because we are number. We're 1 and 2, the left brain, right brain, the two sides of biology, up and down, 3 dimensions, left, right, front, back. You know, length, breadth, height is all defined by 2. You know, with number is actually, and our hands, we count on our fingers, which are called digits, numbers, digitalis in Latin. You know, we're trained in mathematics and everything as if it's foreign to us. In an urban-dominated educational paradigm, we're taught that you know, we're foreigners here and that we have to learn who we are. But you know, my take is we innately know. I've looked at my nieces develop, for instance, Reagan and Emma, who are now 4 and 6. They've taught me and shown me, and all the little ones I've ever encountered in life, you know, that there's an innate knowing that we're born with.
I think we lose, I think part of that I'll have to go through, but I think there is a phenomenon that we lose as we get older and we should not. And I think to define that phenomenon would be this connected to what you would call instinct, that maybe that's not a good very word, but intuition, you see, and we lose our ability to use this, or it gets contaminated. But the child knows that. I have in the book about how children know what horses are. I'm continually amazed. It starts at 12 months. If you hold a 12-month, a 15-month-old child up to a horse, that child knows what the horse is, responds to the horse. Well, that's genetic. And that means that something flies. You see, that means that something, there's a stimulation, and now the visual and tactile part of the animal becomes part of the psyche, right? It becomes conceptual, and then the child loves the horse, you see. And this is how all this character, if you will, develops.
Yes. Character.
Now you're the character.
And what's related to that is honor, which is related to honesty. You know, which is not we do. That's something that's not put on the forefront. And
looking for the other paper, it should be out hopefully this year sometime. It's called Character Development Before the Age of 3 years, 8 months. A lot of people don't think that's possible, but that is I, right? My great-grandmother, who was a genius. I still have trouble talking about her. She was so powerful, but she got it in there, and she woke all this up. She lit it off, and I call it the light off. She got whatever she had, the power, the intellect, the emotion, the Entellexia, and she lit it off. It lit something in my genetics, and it was my character. Of course, there are interesting questions. Was there a transfer of information? Which I can't answer. But
all right, we're reaching the 15-minute mark. We're going to go on to part 3 in a second here.
All right.
Robert Barry, author.